Hello and welcome. Tonight we are going to talk about a few topics that may make a few families upset. I want to just warn you ahead of time. This is going to be a topic that may irritate a few people, but I think it needs to be heard. Um, I've talked to a lot of families this week, a lot of student athletes as we get ready to end September and head into October, and a lot of anxious, nervous, upset people. And frankly, I think it's just time to have a candid conversation. So before I go forward, I want to let everybody know, because I've been getting a lot of messages, DMs about the Proline balls. They are all back in stock. Discount code is available as you're watching this. It will be in the description, both in the podcast as well as the YouTube channel. So I encourage you, if you're a coach of a youth team, a travel team, a high school team, college team, or you're looking to train versus velocity and spin. And one of the most important comments that I think I took away from Jonathan Anderson at U Miami was, working against velocity, challenging yourself, making yourself uncomfortable in your workouts so that you'll be a little bit more comfortable in a game. I think really that's what the Proline ball offers for athletes that are looking to train versus velocity and spin. Durable and really true life ball flight. That's really the separator for the Proline ball. Lots of people have been using them and really finding them to be tremendously effective with regard to their training routines, whether it's offensive, defensive as a catcher, first baseman picks at first base, ground balls, obviously, as well as fly balls. So the Proline ball, I strongly encourage folks, if you don't use it and you have a hack attack or a jugs machine, the Proline ball is the ball to use. Tonight, I didn't put a lot of hoopla out there on social media, and I did so for a reason. And I think it's time to get everyone's attention. I'm going to be candid and direct. I want to make sure everybody understands that this is a live Q&A. Every Tuesday is a live Q&A sponsored by Proline. Also want to remind you, I saw a lot of people this week on X, formerly known as Twitter, asking me about when to create a baseball blue book profile, baseball, softball. Really strongly encourage student athletes and parents to explore the app. I understand you want to create a profile and we want to interact with college coaches, and that's great. But really, at 12 through 17 years of age, you want to explore. You want to converse with other student athletes that may play a similar position. You may want to interact with equipment companies. You may want to interact with instructors. You want to learn the games. You want to learn, different coaches have different philosophies, different training styles, different practice routines. All of that is in the Blue Book. And if you're a team manager, a team mom, and you're trying to communicate with all of your teams, the Blue Book app allows you to do that. So I encourage you as a family, explore the Blue Book app. More importantly, download the Blue Book app, create your profile, and make sure that you are interacting with all of the people within both sports, both baseball and softball. Also, for camp information, it's a great resource. A lot of coaches, we're going to be promoting their camps throughout the next few months during the off season when they're doing camps. Now, change. We hear the word change. We hear college coaches every single Thursday for now going on close to 4.5 years. I have had college coaches join me from all levels, all divisions, JUCO, NAIA, Divisions 3, 2, 1, NCAA. And I really think that the number one message that they are putting out is change. And there is a lot more change coming. Now, we as adults, we as younger, student athletes, sometimes change is just an irritating topic. Sometimes it's just, we get so frustrated. Why does this have to happen now? Why did this have to affect, my student athlete? What's the remedy? What's the recourse? Sometimes it's simply a matter of understanding that life is not a straight line. There is nothing that each and every day should teach us more than anything else is that obstacles, hurdles, disappointments, uh, all of these things are all similar to a heartbeat. They're up and down, ebbs and flows. And one of the words that we have always used is resiliency, mental toughness, mental discipline. And so I have talked to parents that are so angry, angry at the situation, angry that there is a bias towards portal and JUCO and older athletes. And what are my high school students supposed to do? Well, we're going to discuss that tonight. And if you have a question on this topic, I strongly encourage you to ask me tonight. These Tuesday discussions that I have, they are meant to provide up to the minute, up to date information. And I think this Tuesday is no different. But after the last 4 days of listening to angry parents, angry student athletes, and I have to tell you, I have to push back on this one thing. You cannot tell a coach what position you're going to play. You cannot tell a coach that you're better than somebody else that they've either recruited or currently recruiting. You cannot worry about what school has recruited what athletes and what positions they play. If you do not understand as a family, as a student athlete, you can be the biggest, brightest star in your neighborhood, in your state, in your region. You get recruited. You're an infielder. You're an outfielder. You're a catcher. You cannot expect a coach to say, oh, we're not going to recruit any more catchers or infielders or outfielders because we got Walter Beede and he's our guy. It doesn't work that way. Conversely, you can't look at what coaches are doing today in the fall, because all you have to do is look on social media and you see all of these athletes decommitting. Thank you, but I'm going to have to move on. In some cases, it's not them moving on. In some cases, it's them being told they have to move on. College coaches now are making the big boy decisions in May, June, and through mid-July. The sooner we understand that, the better we'll be able to understand, oh, by the way, there's no more LOI. It's not happening in November. There's no big signing day coming down the pipeline in November. Those days are done. College coaches are exploring their rosters right now in the fall, trying to figure out who can, who can't, who do we need to replace, who do we need to bring in. Those decisions are being held now. And in the fall, you are watching athletes be put to the ultimate test. They are being pushed to their mental and physical capacities. And you have to understand, coaches want to see you show up, compete, and keep working. They don't want to offer counseling sessions, or they don't want to give you their blueprint with regard to where you stand with regard to playing time. It's late September. You can worry about those things in February and March. Right now, it matters about competing and being ready. And on that topic, I have received countless numbers of emails from parents. My son is 5'11" and 165 to 175. He is a high school senior or he is a high school junior. He is the best. He's a ranked. He's this, he's that. And when I happen to simply mention that's great at 165 and 175, And I understand that physical maturation occurs at all different ages and stages for, young men across the world, not just with regard to baseball. But you have to begin to understand. We have to understand the change, the biggest change. You're not competing against your high school classes. Don't know any other way to say this. You are competing against 2025 high school graduates, 2024 high school graduates that are either at JUCO, they could be at a lower division, they could be at a mid-major, they can be at a Division One, and then this May or June they hit the portal, and all of a sudden the high school 26 classes are getting dismantled and moved around because the pieces have changed. The pieces, until such time that there is a transfer portal outline where there are some bumpers on the rails to keep us within a certain area. Until that happens, it could happen this coming January at the ABCA. But until that occurs, right now, every single spring, rosters are going to turn over. Athletes are going to enter the portal by themselves. Coaches are going to recommend that they enter the portal. And then, oh, by the way, you get the next year's junior college class, who are the 2023 and 2024 high school graduates, who are going to become sophomores and graduate with an associate's degree. That is who the high school athlete is competing with for roster spots in college baseball. Not just a Division One, not just Division Two, and not an NCAA issue, NAIA, which again, I want to stress to parents, if you're not including NAIA schools in your search, you're doing your student athletes a disservice. Some of the greatest college coaches, as well as greatest high school talent, is going to NAIA. Johnson University, Ottawa University, Reinhardt, the Cumberlands, University of the Cumberlands. We can go to Loyola in New Orleans. You can go to Lee University in Tennessee. These schools have elite coaches, and they have great student athletes. And they are now scooping up. All you have to do is look at LSU Shreveport. Can you wrap your brain as a college baseball coach or someone that has a baseball background? 59-0. And all they're doing is collecting Division I portal athletes or high caliber athletes that are in the NCAA portal, and they're bringing them in to NAIA programs. 59-0. Do you know how good, like special good, you have to be to go 59-0? Yeah, I'm sure there was some luck involved there, but that's a very, very talented team. Change. One of the things that we as adults sometimes lose sight of, and I do this all the time as a 62-year-old adult. I remember being in the 70s and the 80s when dinosaurs roamed the earth. There were no cell phones. There was no such thing as a CD. You had to carry around a transistor radio. I mean, I had walkie-talkies. We used to ride bikes to the ballpark. And as I look back, oh, man, those were great days, great times. But you know what? They're not coming back. So I either have to change and prepare for life as a grandfather, life as, a dad of two adults, or I get passed by. So the emphasis tonight is to understand that these rules that are in place, they are not meant to penalize. They're not meant to hurt. They're not meant to be an obstacle that cannot be overcome. It's just we as ambassadors of the sport have to understand we have to disseminate information better. And I had an email from a gentleman that is in the recruiting space, and I just want to go on record as saying, however you earn a living, that's fantastic. Fantastic. But recognize this, now more than ever, college baseball, as we sit here today, 70% of all colleges and universities are east of the Mississippi. and 30% are west of the Mississippi. So you may live on the West Coast and say, I really don't want to leave the West Coast. That's great. I agree. You logistically, if that's a threshold, okay, well, maybe you have to begin to look at schools that, whether they're NAIA or maybe they're Division III, like Pomona Fitzer, schools like that, Chapman, Lewis and Clark in Portland, Oregon. Those Division III schools are loaded academically and athletically. But this can no longer be a Division I or bust. This is not about a validation for your student athlete to be able to wear the uniform. The uniform is not magic. If your athlete cannot compete and is not prepared to execute and compete in that uniform, the uniform is not going to do that for them. They have to be prepared physically, mentally, skill set wise, speed wise, academically, to compete as a student athlete, regardless of what the name on the front of the jersey says. I think that's an important first step. Hello, my name is Walter Beede. I really have aspirations to play at Arizona State. But at this point, the odds of me going from Massachusetts to Arizona State, unless I have certain metrics, physical metrics, skill metrics, foot speed metrics, probably not going to be in the cards for me. So I have to begin to look at schools that are looking for me, that want me, that are making an effort to get me to come and visit their school. They want me on their roster. They need me on their roster. And even though this may sound like repetitive over and over and over, I think we have to come to the foundational point is that change has arrived. Change is not going anywhere. Change, we can either like it, not like it. Nobody really cares whether we like or dislike it. The college coaches have a responsibility. They have to perform and put the best program, in their opinion, from an evaluation standpoint that they can. Charles Becker, thank you, Charles, is attending college camps without a personal invite and initial interest from a coach a waste of time. Charles, if you are looking at a specific school and you would like to go to a camp, first of all, I want to let parents know a couple things. First of all, there's a lot of blanket emails, blanket direct messages. Coaches will follow student athletes on social media. That is not an initial sign of you're being recruited by that school. There's a lot of form letters. There's a lot of form camp invites. I think I've stated clearly that some camps, not all camps, they're used as a form of revenue generation. Coaches enjoy, and now more than ever, are looking at student athletes that are in that junior and senior class. They're evaluating athletes. But if you're looking at camps from an academic perspective, meaning learning how they practice, learning how the coaches conduct practice, the drills that they do. What are the athletes that are currently at that school? What do they think of the school? If you're looking at it as a gaining insight and information opportunity, camps are great. If you're looking at camps for strictly from a recruiting, like I'm going to go there and blow the doors off of them, that can lead to immense disappointment. So if you get an invite to a camp and it's not a personal invite, meaning you didn't get a text message, you didn't get a direct message on social media, you didn't get a phone call if you're in that junior or senior window. If someone is inviting you personally, a staff member is inviting you personally to come to the upcoming camp because we would like to put our eyes on you, we would like you to tour the campus, that is recruiting. If you're just getting hey, we're having a camp, come one, come all, and it's a form letter, it's not specifically personally inviting your student athlete, you have to question, okay, the cost of the camp, the cost of lodging, if it's more than a one-day camp, which typically it is, the cost for food, travel expenses, etc. Because again, that is chasing instead of choosing. When typically athletes that I'm interacting with, I am having phone calls. Anybody that I'm working with, I am making a phone call ahead of time and saying, hey, coach, I'm just wondering, I talked to Joel Smith yesterday. He got an invite. Are you actively recruiting him? If I get a yes, okay, I go back and say, yes, you should go. This is what they're looking to see. If they say no, that's not what the intent was. Okay, I let them know. And then you as parents need to make a decision. But here's where that whole thing on change really has to enter the brain here. You have to understand nothing you can do, nothing, zero, zip, nada, not a single blessed thing that you can do as parents to change a coach's mind. If a coach has not responded to an email, a text, a request for a phone call, typically there's a reason. And I'm going to address that a little bit before we end. But don't just randomly pop up to a camp and expect to be recruited and the red carpet gets rolled out. That just doesn't happen very often. Can it happen? Yes. Is it possible? Maybe. Is it probable? Probably not. Here's the thing. Again, I'm a college coach. I'm looking at my team in the fall, and I see 20 to 24-year-old men. And then I go to camps, and I see 14 to 18-year-old boys. Okay, those boys are a long way from what I'm looking at every single day. So you as parents and athletes have to know, A, I have a skill set that is going to jump out. I'm either very fast, I hit the ball a long way, I hit a lot of loud, firm, hard line drives. I can pick it, off of a 115-mile-an-hour ground ball. I can pick that. I have great fielding skill. I have great arm strength. I have a great pop time. I am a dude. If you're a dude and you play middle infield and you run a 7.3, don't go. If you're a center fielder and you run a 7.1, don't go. Understand foot speed, sub 7, check. Arm strength. Now, all things are age appropriate. Nobody expects a 14-year-old to throw 85. And if you do, that's great, but hope you're doing arm care. Know what your skill sets are. Have somebody in your community do a gosh darn evaluation, somebody that will be honest and candid with you and give you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. That's imperative before you go to a college camp. John Park, if current fall team evaluations being more of an emphasis specifically with smaller roster sizes, does that make campus prospect camps more important if the athlete has something to showcase? Yes, John, that's absolutely correct. And of course, Mr. Keynes, I talk to JD and I talk to Jonathan. I don't think there's a better Jonathan Anderson is one of the best coaches I've ever spoken with. He's just an elite human. And so next, I want to try to impress upon parents change. What's happening above us? What is the process looking like with professional and college baseball? Stop for a second. Stop worrying about all of the alphabet programs and rankings and doing all of this stuff and who's attending what event. It's BS. It's poop. Big dogs, little dogs, medium dogs. It's just poop. Grade A premium poop. College programs. Read the articles. They're not sending out as many athletes to summer baseball. Why? They don't want to lose athletes. But more importantly, what nobody is thinking about is they're sending these guys to their strength coaches, both internally and externally. Get stronger, get faster, develop your skill, get more reps, grow. Colleges are all across the country, their own kids that they have recruited that are in their programs, they're not trying to go out and play a million games. Do they go to the Cape? Yes. Do they go to the New England Collegiate League? Yes. Alaskan League? Yes. Most of those summer leagues now are nothing more than old-fashioned showcases and tournaments that used to be what the Alphabets did, but now they do it under the umbrella of real tournament games. You know what's comparable to summer college baseball? American Legion. American Legion. Why? Summer college baseball cuts guys all the time. You may not know it, but they cut guys. You have to make a college summer team. You have to make a college summer roster. The same thing with Legion. You have to make those guys that are playing summer college baseball typically are in the portal or they're trying to enhance their draft stock. Those that are freshmen or sophomores that may not be ready for the major league draft, they're trying to increase their draft stock by getting bigger, by getting stronger, by getting faster, by getting better. Same thing happening in Major League Baseball. They eliminated short season, rookie ball and short season. Why? They keep their younger guys, their international athletes, and their high school draft picks in what we used to refer to as extended spring. Now they're staying on the spring training site. And guess what they're doing? That's right. Getting faster, getting stronger, repetitions, skills. They are maturing. So if all of this is happening within professional baseball and for the most part, all of college baseball, at what point do we as adults want to say to kids, hey, you don't have to go out and play 1,000 games over the course of the summer and the fall when you might want to be, here's a novel idea, playing local and getting in the weight room or working with a speed coach, working with an instructor for skill. You know, it sounds like we're talking in circles, but in reality, what's happening is people are growing so upset. They're so PO'd at what's going on above them. They're not reading the room. They're not reading the room. And I think it's time, really, honest to goodness. Proline, major league hitters, Bobby Witt Jr. Anybody pay attention to Bobby Witt Jr. probably have one of the best seasons in Major League Baseball history for a shortstop. All off season, all that young man does is he is all about skill refinement and strength because it's important. Obviously, it's his job. But at what point do we as adults want to say to the 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-olders, did you hear Jonathan Anderson last week say, University of Miami spends $200,000 a year, almost $250,000 a year on supplements for their athletes. Now, why would they do that? Because they know their strength coaches have gone to them and said, look, when these guys are working out, they need to make sure they are putting what is needed into their bodies. It's important for them to be able to play and execute at the levels that we need them to execute. $250,000. And for strength training, all of these athletes that are showing up out of high school into college, and I've provided freshmen and sophomores and juniors this year. Oh boy. I never knew I was going to lift like this. I knew I was going to lift, but not every day, not with this intensity, not with this, I look around and all these guys are, sprinting around the weight room. They don't just meander over to a bench and have headphones in and a set here and then check the cell phone. No. Shay Hamilton. Thank you, Shay. Chris, simple question. If my son goes out of state for school, but first attends JUCO for a year or two, can he then get an in-state tuition when he goes to a 4-year school? Yes. His residence is wherever he lives, wherever his parents, in today's world, I have to say this, custodial parent, wherever the custodial parent lives, you can get your in-state tuition. And that's the other dynamic change. I get a lot of pushback with regard to this post-grad thing and everything else, and everybody's going to do it in a different way. But I have to tell you, the whole purpose of the postgraduate year, for me personally, in my world, is about academics. It's about that preparation for the intensity of the daily management and routine of being a student athlete with regard to time management, being proactive, not trying to push things off, to really learn how to set your schedule up on a daily basis. But here's why postgraduate academies, baseball academies are sprouting up everywhere. And there's a big one coming in the Northeast, and it's, I don't even want to get into that, but IMGs and all of these other, you can go to these IMGs, but they're not going to wave a magic wand. And the other part of it is, you know what happens during that post-grad year? Oh, by the way, it's just good old physical maturation, that Mother Nature. We used to refer to it as the freshman 15. You go to college, suddenly you discover a few libations or extra carbos, as my head coach used to say, and you're putting more carbs in your body, but your body is growing during those ages. We had Tommy Moffitt from Texas A&M, and he used to say, look, at 19 to 23, your body's going to fill out. It's going to, thicken up. And that's why a lot of athletes are looking into these gap year, post-grad years, et cetera, because it's about physical maturation. So again, if we know that this is the fact, the whole world above us is already well on its way. It's already established it. Why are we not pushing this narrative to younger athletes about the need to be with supervised, skilled trainers that know what they're doing, that have an intake evaluation or a movement screen, that are finding areas of deficiencies or weaknesses, and then you're working aggressively on the weaknesses, on the areas of the body that need to be strengthened in order for you to be ready to compete when your feet hit the ground the fall of your freshman year in college. If that narrative was pushed more, parents would save so much money. You'd save so much time. You would have a better prepared student athlete. Now, I have photos on my website. You can go and look if you want. It's not a big deal. Two young men that started when they were 11 and 12. If you looked at those boys today as sophomores in high school 4 years ago, you can clearly see the difference in those two young men as high school sophomores versus when they were 12 years old. They have both made a concerted effort to get stronger, to get faster, to get skill set development, their own skill set preparation by doing individual drills in their backyard, at the playground. They don't do it because their dad or mom tells them to do it. They don't do it because their instructor, myself, anybody else. They just go do it because they want to be better. They are internally driven. And in college, you better be internally driven, because it's going to be a lonely, lonely freshman year for the vast majority of athletes that go from high school to college. You're so used to playing every day, getting every rep, you don't get in. Oh, it starts to creep in my mind. What am I doing? It's fight or flight. And coaches are watching. They watch your body language. They listen to your conversations. They see your interactions with teammates. Are you fleeing or are you competing? Pushing you to your limits. These college coaches have been around for a long time. This isn't like a game. This is about knowing, undisputedly knowing, that when that young man gets his opportunity, he's worked his rear end off, he's ready to compete. Oh, yes, Trevor, thank you so much. And I want to end tonight's college recruiting. I just need parents to be fully aware that when somebody says to you, there's a place for everyone that wants to play baseball in college. For the most part, that's true. But here's where that takes a hard left. You are convinced, or more importantly, your student athlete is convinced that he is a Division I player. He is an elite player. And I'll talk to the Division III coach, because I'm just going to go there and then I'm going to blow out of Dodge and I'm going to go play Division I. It's a great plan. It sounds great, but we must understand. If I look at Division I baseball, and let's just call it 12,000 participants, it's less than that, but we're going to call it 12,000. And out of that 12,000, 6,000 are pitchers. 6,000 pitchers, 6,000 position players. Of each of those two participants, pitchers and position players, 3,000 are spectators in a uniform, and 3,000 are active participants. Think about that, please. Do you want to be a spectator in a uniform in a dugout, or do you want to get the most out of your college experience? And have you looked at a lot of the major league rosters and looked at where some of these people have gone to school? They're not all coming from the SEC, ACC, Big 10, or Big 12. There are guys coming out of the Sunshine State Conference. There are guys coming out of the NAIA levels. There are guys coming out of the JUCO levels. It is not a race to get to Division I. Being a college student athlete, whether you think you need a degree, want a degree, I'm not going to get into that battle. But college is more than baseball. It's more than tests. It's more than transcripts. It's about growth. It's about cultural development, social interaction. It's about community. It's about camaraderie. It's teaching you how to fail, get back up, and get in there and compete. Not just in athletics, about life. Nothing is handed to everybody. I hear people talking about, well, my son was a 4-year starter at the best school in Florida, Louisiana, Georgia. Okay. So was a lot of other guys that are playing college baseball. And I've said this in the past and I get laughed at, but if you do not think that there is a foreign growth movement coming to college baseball, when that 2027 collective bargaining agreement comes in and they start pushing for a combination of the international draft and the June amateur or July amateur draft, you watch how many players from Latin countries, Asian countries, Australia, Canada start taking and coming in and going to college. I already know several. I have 2 boys. One's going to Dayton, one's at Evansville, and that's just 2 boys that I know from Canada. And, we're not factoring that in. The Latin players, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Dominican, they are looking to come, and they're getting into JUCO. They're getting into NAIA, and they're really good. And you know what they are? Hungry. They are hungry. They have a chip on their shoulder, and they want to play. Thank you, Steel City. Now, I've had a parent who continues, and this is my last point. I've had a parent who takes great pride in every Wednesday or Thursday sending me an email critiquing, and I appreciate him taking the time to critique. And I'm never always right. I'm not going to always be right. I've made mistakes, lots of mistakes. I'll continue to make mistakes. I ask for forgiveness. I try to do things for the right reason or with the right intentions. But I want to begin by the end of this episode by letting parents know and student athletes know that when you are a young athlete and some adult wants to tell you what you need to do, I have a tough time with that. We are denying young teenagers the ability to embrace and enjoy their journey. I'm 62. I want to get to 80s. I'd love to get to 90s, but you know what? I'll take a good 22 years and call it a day. I had my time from 12 to 22, 23, and I played a lot of baseball, and I got to tell you, I loved every minute of it. But I wouldn't trade my relationships, the moments, the memories, the ups, the downs. It's all about our journeys. We have become so laser focused with a destination. We must get to that destination. I'd like to be rich and be able to travel on a private plane so Karen and I could go all over, go to Aruba, go do stuff, but that's not my reality. It's not my reality. I'm blessed. I have 2 children. I have 3 grandchildren. We're happy. You cannot worry about a destination when you're 14, trying to think about where I want to go when I'm 19. And who do I need to see and who do I need to work with and who. It doesn't work that way. There's no one, including myself, that can say, hey, I'm going to get you into Boston College, UConn, pick your school. And so if you fall for that narrative of, we have placed 182 Division I draft picks or Division I players and Cape Cod League All-Stars, that was yesterday. Yesterday, I had dark black hair and I weighed about $195. Today, not so much. So let's start enjoying and embracing today. Let's not wish time away. I don't care how great your instructors are and how great they've been. I'm just trying to tell you, take the time with your children and enjoy the car rides. Enjoy the interactions at the dinner table. Enjoy the interactions in the backyard. Go to the ballpark, fly a kite. I don't care if you play catch. But for the love of goodness, as athletes, please enjoy your junior year. It's a tough year, but it's a fun year. And you're one step away from that biggest year of your life because you're a kid. You can fall down. You can do stupid things and nobody's going to take it out on you. Don't do stupid things, but I'm talking about stupid stuff that we all did when we were kids. For the love of goodness, look at your child, look at your student athlete. We're going to give it the best we can give in whatever we're doing in life, in the classroom, in the community, with regard to sports. But if your son or daughter likes to play a different sport, go ahead. You're not missing anything. Don't fall for that line. Well, the people in the Dominican Republic, they don't play all year round. They play all year round. They don't play other sports. They play baseball. They actually play pickup games in the playground, on the street. They play. Way too many organized events. You need unorganized, organic community stuff. Just hold a pickup game in your backyard. Give it a name. Hey, we're going to do, Wiffle Ball World Series. We're going to do Sandlot World Series. We're going to play, nobody can hit the right field. Or you can't pull the ball. You got to hit it to second to right field. You got to learn how to go the other way. Put a trash can at home plate and try to throw the ball into home plate. Have fun. Let them be kids. Let them play. Let them play. Games, tournaments, showcases. Blah, blah. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not necessary at 12, 13, 14, 15. You don't need all that structure. What you need is creativity. You need athletes that want to explore. They want to emulate. A lot of kids want to emulate their favorite hitters. Juan Soto, I see kids all the time, okay, great. They want to look like Paul Skeens. Okay, I wanted to look like Louis Tiant. I wanted to hit like Rod Carew and George Brett. So my whole point of this is change is here. It's not going anywhere. You can elect to fight it, or you can elect to work with the change and make those changes now for your student athlete. Focus on the school. Focus on the sleep habits, the strength habits, the speed habits, all the things that ultimately are going to be required for your student athlete to play. I want to say thank you to everyone that takes the time to join me. I'm going to keep this. This is a lot more brief for me than typical. Please keep, and George, you want to email me again and tell me where I'm getting it wrong, please do so tomorrow. I encourage you to continue to send me emails. I continue to, put things out on social media. This isn't a sales funnel, by the way. It's just information. I have over 1,300 videos over the last 4 years. And there's a lot of great stuff I did 4 years ago. Granted, I have a fat face and a puffy eye when I had the mask removed out of my eye. But it's still information that's still relevant today. And I think it's all free. So I've put YouTube in this situation for me personally, just so I could disseminate information and kind of be a resource. Whether it works for you or you don't like it, I can't control that. But what I can control is communication with the coaches that I've developed relationships with. I think that's the one thing I treasure the most. I just had a college coach today say, Walt, you were spot on with a guy that's, was on the East Coast and now in the Southwest. And he's scrappy and he's tough and he's going to be in my lineup every day. That makes me feel good because of the rapport and the relationships that I have with the coaches. So again, I want to encourage you to order your Proline balls, all the inventory, both baseball and softball. They're all in. If you use a machine, hack attacks, jugs, train velocity, train spin, both offensively as well as defensively. Proline, use the code down below. Also, if you are a parent and you have a student athlete, a baseball player, softball player, download the app. The Baseball Blue Book app is a wonderful resource. Do you remember the yellow pages? Do you remember why you used the yellow pages? Now, I'm old enough to know, yes, the yellow pages. I wanted to find a tire shop, yellow pages, pizza place, yellow pages, taxi, yellow pages. Baseball Blue Book, softball Blue Book Sports. Find your way to the Blue Book app, create the profile, but interact with all the various people within the communities, the baseball, the softball communities, the teams, the programs, the camps, the lessons, everything that you feel in your area may be of benefit to you. Absolutely communicate, converse via the Blue Book. Thank you to everybody. If I can do anything for anyone, please, Walter at coachbeede.com. Trevor, one of the things I want to tell parents, I'm just going to use Trevor. I know most of you cannot see the chats that go on, and they are real. There are people here. If you're watching on X, Trevor has children that are under the age of 13. He has sons. And I think I've probably had 10 dialogues on the phone with Trevor. Now, he was from Pennsylvania, now lives in Mississippi. And we talk about everything and anything and not just baseball. We talk about life. We talk about, football. We talk about strength. We talk about a variety of subjects. And I don't think I've ever once said to him, oh, your time's up. If he sends me a message on Instagram, I answer it. No membership. He just sends a message. He'll send videos. You know why I like the videos? Because I get to watch those young athletes growing up. I like to see the passion. I like to see the engagement between the parents and the student athletes, the younger athletes. They play football, they play baseball, they play basketball, they go fishing, they ride their bikes. This is about all of us being the village, all of us taking a turn in the village that it takes to raise a child. It's as simple as that. There's a lot more people that are smarter than me. There's a lot of people that are better than me. I'm not in this at 62 to be in a race or a competition, but it's people like Trevor. And I just said this to my wife the other day. I like checking in. I have guys that I worked with that when they were 10, 11, and 12, Landon Marceau, right-hand pitcher, LSU, lives in Harahan, Louisiana. Now, I live in Boston now, but for a long time, I lived in Louisiana. I watched that young man grow from 10 years old with the Crescent City Hooks in Louisiana, Blake Benedetto. And he went from being the smallest kid on the team, you'll never play, to pitching at LSU in the box Friday, Saturday, from his freshman year on, playing for Team USA, getting drafted in the second round by the Angels. And I've known the young man since he was 10, and I've known his mom and dad. I love that. I love that journey that I can kind of watch and enjoy and see from beginning through a completed process within a dream. It's all about dreams. It's all about what our children want. And I'm happy to help those parents, such as Trevor. And Trevor doesn't put a quarter in the jukebox, by the way. He just picks up a phone and says, "Can I talk to you today at 2?" Yep. Give me a call. Walter at coachbeede.com. You can send me a direct message in any of the social medias. Thank you so much, Keith. Hello, Keith. Best of luck in Salisbury. I look forward to talking with you next week. This Thursday, Coach's Corner, 9 p.m. Eastern. Coach's Corner in the next few weeks is going to have Chris Pollard at UVA. Probably going to have Scotty Loiseau from Duke. Going to try to track down Brian O'Connor at Mississippi State. Whole bunch of coaches that are going to be joining me over the next few weeks. I hope you stick around. I hope you watch a Coach's Corner. Have a great week in school and in baseball.